Everybody, it's Monica with your best female figure, and today I have 18 minutes of a 46-minute yoga flow that I filmed in Kona, Hawaii. It's very relaxing and I hope you enjoy it. So we're going to start on the floor, sitting either with legs crossed in front of you or on your shins with your feet back behind you like I'm doing. And set an intention for your practice. What do you want this practice to do for you? And then focus on that the entire time. So I'm going into single leg down dog, which is going to be the transition pose between all the other poses. And I'm allowing my knee to bend. That's totally optional. From there, you're going to come into a deep lunge. And we're going to do the deep lunge quad stretch. Now, if you can't reach your hand to your foot, then go ahead and leave your foot down and just focus on lowering that upper body towards the ground by bending that front arm. If you do grab your foot, that stretch on the quads is going to feel really intense, but once you're done with it, you're going to notice that your breathing is improved immensely. From there, you're going into a deep lunge twist with arm circles. Now, if you don't like the arm circle, you also can place your hand on your heart and then just raise your arm up towards the sky every time. And you're going to try for 3 to 5 cycles of flowing poses, and then on holding poses, just aim for 3 to 5 relaxing breaths. Now from there, you're going into triangle pose, and you can place your arm behind your back if you like. And then you're going to bend that front leg, and you're going to go into the deeper side angle pose. And from there, you can either just hold that for a few breaths, or you can try to do an arm bind. So you're going to wrap that arm underneath that front thigh, and you're going to grab your hands behind your back. You'll be able to see it from the back when I do the other side. And then from there, you're going to go back into this deep lunge, and you're going to rest your forearms on the ground for a few breaths. And if you can hear the waves crashing in the background, I can tell you that practicing outdoors by the ocean is incredibly relaxing. I have practiced on a beach, just on sand before, but this was a pretty amazing practice, and it was totally spontaneous. I was just going with the flow, as they say. So from there, we're going to come back to kneeling, and we're going to enjoy some dynamic torso circles from this kneeling position. You guys have seen this in previous videos. I've called this dynamic cat dog. Imagine that your torso is inside a barrel, and you're just scraping the inside of that barrel with your torso. And from there, you're going into up dog if you like, or you can skip it and then go right back into single leg down dog with the knee bend. That really helps to open up the hips, and it's really relaxing when you allow that knee to bend. Now you're going to go back into that deep lunge, and again you're doing that quad stretch. And your breathing is going to help you to be able to go into these poses a lot deeper. So remember, when you're opening the chest in any pose, breathe in, and when you are contracting into kind of like more of a crunching position with your body, that's when you breathe out. So for example, in this twist, you'd be breathing in as your arm goes back, and out as your arm goes down and your face and chest go forward. That's going to facilitate not only the poses that you're in, going to make them easier, but it's going to just make your entire practice flow. And it's going to help you be more relaxed during your practice, so that you're not all, tense in poses trying to hold them. So again, we're back in triangle pose, and you can stay in this pose for as long as you like, or again, you can drop down into the deeper side angle pose, and you can add an arm bind to that if you like. Now notice how I'm placing my hand all the way in front of the thigh, but then I bring it back to behind the thighs. So you can, try that variation as well. It's actually a really nice stretch on the shoulders. And then from there, you're going back into triangle pose and then back into that deep lunge with forearms on the floor. And notice how I'm going to start shaking my head back and forth. I was trying to get my neck and shoulders to relax because I had been sitting in cars and planes for many hours prior to this, and my body was just not happy. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to just head down to this location to do this practice. Now from there, you're going to come back into this kneeling position. And you're going to do this dynamic cat dog, doing circles. You can even kind of move the body front to back as well as in a circle. Do whatever feels good for you, and just allow your head, to just go with the entire movement so that your neck starts to really get relaxed. And from there, you can go into up dog. And if that's too intense for you, you can lower a little bit by bending the arms and do cobra instead. But try to engage those back muscles to protect your low back. So from there, you're going into down dog. And you're going to just stay in down dog for a little bit, stretching your calves and the backs of your legs and really engaging your core. And then once again, we're back into single leg down dog, this time with your legs straight. And you're going to come into warrior pose. Now I'm not doing anything specific with my arms. So warrior one is arms overhead, but I'm not going to hold that for very long. Instead, I'm going to place my hands behind my back and I'm going to drop down into humble warrior. If this is too challenging for you, then go ahead and stay in warrior one with arms overhead and just focus on lengthening, your hip flexors and sinking down into those heels as you're holding that pose. Now we're going to go to the opposite side, single leg down dog. And then from there, you're going into that warrior stance, which is a basic stance for all the warrior poses. Arms overhead, if you like, you can continue holding that, or you can clasp the hands behind the back and drop down into humble warrior. This is one of my favorite poses for releasing upper back tension, low back tension, hip tension, and also for really working on my core and my legs. I kind of love this pose. Now here I was going to attempt an arm balance that you may have seen me post on Instagram or Facebook, but I decided to skip it at this point. I did do it later on. And from there, you're just going to drop back into down dog and then come up into up dog. Now you don't have to do up dog so quickly. I'm sure a lot of people think that the way I get into up dog is a little bit aggressive and fast, but it feels right for me. But you can slow it down. So from here, we're going to down dog again, and this time we're going to lift onto the balls of the feet and then sit into the heels by bending the knees, and you're just kind of swiveling the feet back and forth. That's really nice for opening up the hips and relaxing the back. Again, single leg down dog into warrior stance. And this time you're just going to lean back into reverse warrior, and placing your hand on your back leg is really great for support. You can also place it on the hip of that back leg. That works too. And then drop back down into that deep lunge. And you can just hold that for a few breaths, allowing your hip flexors to relax and lengthen. And then here I was again going to attempt that arm balance, but I decided to skip it. It wasn't going to work, and I was basically just going to create more tension in my neck and shoulders, so I decided to pass on it, but I do end up doing it later several times in the practice. So back to single leg down dog. And you can hold that as long as you like and circle the feet around if that feels good. And then back into this warrior stance. I wasn't wearing yoga shorts, so those shorts are actually a little bit tight on my thighs, and they weren't allowing me free range of movement, so full range of movement, sorry. Now from here, going into a side angle, but with support. So you're placing that forearm on the thigh as you lean. So that's an easier version of side angle. And then you come down into deep lunge stretch, allowing your hip flexor to just relax and kind of sink down into the floor. And here the arm balance. I was able to do it for a few seconds, but that's it. Later on in the video, I try it again and I'm able to do a little bit better. Again, going into that up dog, you don't have to do it so quickly. I was kind of doing it the way that the waves are crashing on the rocks, you know, kind of aggressive and seems like a little violent, but that feels really nice for me. But you can slow it way down if that is too fast or if it doesn't feel good for you. So from here, I'm going to sit on my shins again with my feet behind me, and I'm going to lean back. And I can't remember the name of this pose. It's reclined something. But it feels really good, especially if you tilt your pelvis and try to eliminate the curve in the low back. So try and flatten your back into the floor. You're going to get a really nice stretch on the tops of your thighs, and your chest and neck is going to really relax. You can hold this as long as you like, and if being in this pose bothers your knees, then you can do the same thing, except with feet together and knees apart. So your legs are in a butterfly position and you're still leaning back, getting a nice inner thigh stretch. Now from there, you're going into garland pose, which is a super deep squat that I'm always talking about on the site. You're just going to sit there for a few breaths, relaxing, and then you're going to transfer into this butterfly stretch, pressing one knee down with the same side hand and leaning in the opposite direction. This is going to release a lot of tension from very deep back muscles that tend to keep your back kind of locked up. So it feels really, really good on your inner thighs as well. From there, you're going into a forward fold with the opposite leg bent. And if you can't reach your feet with your hands, you can always place your hands on your shins or your thighs, and you can add a bit of a twist. That was a very minor twist, but it feels really good on the low back. Now from there, you're going into a seated gate pose, and the front arm, or the arm on the bottom, is just kind of hugging around the low abs, and the hand is resting on the hip as you're bending over and really allowing your upper back muscles to stretch. Now from there, we're going into Happy Baby, or Rock the Baby. I think it's called Rock the Baby. And you're just going to hug your knee and your foot into your chest from a seated position. And then from there, we're going to try a more advanced pose that you've seen me do a few times. So hug that leg, and if you can't hug it all the way in the way I'm doing, you can always hold it a little bit further with your hands instead of resting your foot inside your elbow. So from there, you're going to place that hand on the floor. You're going to rest your lower leg on your upper arm, very close to your shoulder, and you're going to extend that leg. Now, it's the upper back that has to really stretch for you to be able to get that nice stretch on the leg. So it's not all hamstrings. It has a lot to do with your upper back and also your, deep abdominals. From there, you're going into fire logs pose, and you're just going to fold forward. You can either place your hands in front of you for support, or you can wrap them around your back with your hands clasped like I'm doing here. And then from there, you're going to take it a little bit further into cow face. And I like to do cow face with my hands clasped behind my back and reaching up to the sky, but that's not how most yogis do this pose. They just place their hands on the floor and lean forward or, drop forward like I'm doing here. Either way, whatever works for you. Remember that you can adapt poses to your body and to your preferences. You don't have to practice any one way. Yoga is all about, your unique needs. And from there, you're just going to go into a seated twist and just hold for a few seconds. I wasn't too into that pose, so I kind of didn't hold it for very much time. And then I just switched over to the other side, seated forward fold with one leg bent and arms wrapped around behind the back. But again, if you need support, you can always place your hands on your thigh, shin, or on the floor in front of you. And then we're going into seated side gaze, seated gate pose. I don't know what I was saying. And you're going to wrap that lower arm around your lower abs, resting your hand on your hips. And then you can go ahead and do that forward fold again if you feel like it. Is going to probably feel a lot easier after you've done gate pose. And then back to rock the baby. Again, you don't have to hold your knee and foot that close to your body if you can't reach. You can just hold it out a little bit further. And then you're going to go ahead and bend that bottom, the straight leg. And you're going to go into compass one more time. There's actually another name for this pose, but I can't remember what it's called. So remember, you have to rest your lower leg high up on the arm, almost on top of the shoulder, but not quite. And then you get that nice stretch by allowing your back muscles to really lengthen. So this is all about your back muscles and a little bit less about your hamstrings, although you do need some hamstring flexibility to be able to do this. Your back has also a lot of to do with this pose. And then you're going back to fire logs, and you're just going to fold forward with arms in front or behind you. And you can take your time getting in and out of these poses. You can just sit there for a while if you feel like it. I was starting to really let go of all the stress and tension from our traveling, and I was just really enjoying the ocean. And I did a 46-minute practice, so I may upload the rest of it without narration so you can see the rest of it. So here we're back to cow face with arms behind and reaching overhead, or you can just place your hands on the floor. And I forgot to take a hair tie with me to this location where I was filming, so my hair was all over the place, but I tried to focus on the poses and not get distracted. Alright, so from here you're just going to finish up with the seated twist, and then you're going to press into down dog and relax there for a few breaths, and you can be done with this practice, or you can come back and watch the second part of this video and keep going with me if you like. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will be back soon with more exercises and tips to help you get your best female figure. Thank you so much for watching.